Okay. Yeah. So today we'll be starting with the Employee Central module, guys, and I hope like you have received the material with respect to the Employee Central, and just now I sent the latest data models that are relevant to your Employee Central module, and I'll be sharing with you and also I'll be sharing.
Raghu, I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well. Can you please come closer to the mic?
Yeah. 1 second, guys. Okay, is that fine now?
A little better.
Okay.
A bit more, please.
1 second. Yeah. Is it okay now, Motion?
Yeah, a lot better. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. So what I told you is like I shared the relevant material with you for the Employee Central module, and I'll be sharing with you the THR81 documentation, and at the same time I'll be sending you a couple of more implementation guides on your Employee Central module, guys. I'll do that probably tonight or by tomorrow. I'll do that. And with respect to your Employee Central module, you might be all know that it is your core HR system. It is equivalent to your core HR system. So what EC is going to carry inside that, and how it is different from the talent management module that we have seen so far. So Employee Central is the module that is going that is the central repository or the database where all your employees master data is going to be reside, guys. Everything, all your employee data is going to be stored in your SuccessFactors system. All your employee data is going to be stored in SuccessFactors Employee Central module. And Employee Central is smart enough, and so far we haven't seen any historical data, right? What are the things that we have worked so far on the talent management suite? We haven't seen the historical data of the employee or any data, but you will be able to see the historical data of the employee changes in the Employee Central module, guys. And you can establish relationships which are basically called as associations in Employee Central module, and you can create effective dated entities or objects, and you can work on workflows which are like more sophisticated than whatever the roadmap that we have seen so far, guys. So in this fashion, your Employee Central module is a bit different than the system that we have seen so far. And yes, your Employee Central module is the core HRIS system, and it is also called a system of record, and it is the module or the system where you are going to define your organization structure, your jobs, and basically job structure, and your employees job information. Everything is going to be configured and stored in your Employee Central module. It is more equivalent to your personal administration, organization management, ESS, MSS functionality that you have seen on SAP HCM, guys. So when you are implementing, like say, now you got a little bit background about Employee Central module, guys. So when you are implementing Employee Central module for your client or at your own organization, so SuccessFactors recommend a 14-step implementation sequence that you need to carry out in your provisioning system. Couple of things on your provisioning system and couple of things on your instance, guys. And this is the first thing that you have to set up on your system. Then you can configure any other requirements on your SuccessFactors Employee Central module, guys. So what is this 14 steps? What are the different things that you are going to do in this 14-step sequences? It goes like this thing, guys. Let me write it down on a notepad. Basically, it consists of 14 different steps, guys. The first thing is going to be like, you have to set up the provisioning system. Yes, you got the license from SuccessFactors and you paid everything. So the first thing is like you have to set up the provisioning account. So the provisioning account, basically like you are going to get the login credentials for the provisioning system, and once you log into the provisioning system, you have to create the super administrator, guys. So the super administrator, as I told you earlier, you have the provisioning system and you have the instance. But when you are implementing any module for the very first time, you don't have credentials to log into your SuccessFactors instance, guys. So the only credentials you get to log in is to the provisioning system. So once you log into the provisioning system, you have to create the super admin, and he is the super admin is the one who is going to log into the instance for the very first time. And he will configure the other users, he will create the other employees, and he will provide the or grant the required privileges to the other employees, guys. So these are the first two steps that you are going to do, and the third step is going to be like you have to load or configure your corporate data model. I'll talk about these data models, but at a high level, your corporate data model is the XML file which is going to have the different objects, and these objects are going to help you to build your enterprise structure or your organization structure, your job information, pay scale. All these enterprise related entities are going to be built using the corporate data model XML file, guys. Usually SuccessFactors will give you the standard data models. All the data models, the standard data models are going to be provided by SuccessFactors. And as a first thing, you have to load these standard SAP SuccessFactors provided data models into the provisioning system, guys.
Hey, Raghu, could you please tell me what is that corporate data model?
We are going to configure the corporate data model, guys, but what is going to have in your corporate data model is your enterprise related entities like your company code, your locations, your business units, and your cost center, your workflows, everything. These are the different objects of your employee central module, and those things are going to be built using your corporate data model, guys.
Raghu, I have one question.
Yeah.
Can we change in the standard thing also? Like, can we customize those standard data models too?
Yes, we can do that. I'll show you how to do that.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
No worries. So once you are done with the corporate data model, loading the standard SuccessFactors provided corporate data model, what we'll be doing is like I'll give you the configuration workbooks. I hope I already sent you the configuration workbooks. We'll take those configuration workbooks and we'll try to fulfill or configure all the requirements that has been captured in those configuration workbooks. With respect to the data models, those are the two configuration workbooks we'll be
Raghu,
working on.
what is the best way to open that RAR files? I'm really having hard time like opening those files .rar.
You have to install the WinRAR application, Rashmi.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. And so once you load the corporate data model, the standard SAP SuccessFactors provided data model, the next thing is going to be like you have to load the succession data model, guys. So what is your succession data model? If you have attended my talent management modules, we have seen that succession data model is more related to the employee information, whether their personal information or address details, so their leave of options, everything, their dependent details, anything which is not related to the enterprise or organization, and things which are pretty much related to the employees or the people of your organization are going to be built using the succession data model, guys. Again, your succession data model is a simple XML file. I'll show you how to read your data models, all those things, but let me finish this implementation sequence, then we'll start one by one, guys. So once you load the succession data model, the next thing is going to be like you have to load the country specific corporate data model. So what is your country specific corporate data model? Your country specific corporate data model is going to have the entities that are dependent on a country. Like say you are defining a business unit. Say if you are defining a business unit in US, the data that you are going to capture to build that business unit should be different from another business unit which you are going to build in India. So how the system should dynamically determine or build that particular screen so that you will be able to capture the business unit or any entity that are related to the enterprise is going to be provided by your country specific corporate data model, guys. Give me a second, guys. Let me log into the system. I'll show you a little bit so that you can easily understand things. Just give me a second, guys. It will log into the system. But meanwhile, let me complete this sequence. So the next step is going to be like load your country specific succession data model. And again, the things that are specific to the employee related data, but which are dependent on the country. Let's say if you are capturing the personal address of the employee, which is relevant to the succession data model, but when you are trying to capture the address of an employee in India, the address format is different, and when you compare to an employee address in US, right? So the screen should be automatically built or should be dynamically loaded based on the employee's location. So those kind of things which are dependent on the countries are going to be segregated and placed into country specific data models, guys. That is the reason you can see the corporate is divided into country specific corporate data model, and your succession data model is again divided into country specific succession data model. Let me, okay. If I go to, don't worry about all these things, guys. If you are new to Employee Central module, I'll tell you all those things. Let's say I am hiring a new employee. Add new employee.
Another quick question. Would this data come from the core HR system, SAP, or would this have to be loaded in fresh?
See, if you have a legacy SAP HCM system, yes, you have to load the data from the legacy system into SuccessFactors, Hari.
Okay, so most companies do have, right? I mean, would there be an instance where they would not have SAP and then just do this?
No. See, irrespective of whether they have the SAP system or any other system, if they are going forward, they want to use the Employee Central module of your SuccessFactors, means they have to load the data into SuccessFactors. And Hari, I am worried like why you are thinking about data loading at this point of time. We are not talking about data loading, right? We are just setting up the system.
Yeah, but you're talking data model. The data model depends on...
See, this data model is nothing to do with your data, guys. I'll tell you about these are the only structures you are building. You are not loading data into these data models. You are just building the structures. Like say, what is your info type? Info type is nothing but it's a group of collection of similar fields, right? Nothing but technically speaking, it is structure. Inside the structure, you have a couple of fields and their technical attributes, right? And in the same fashion, your data model is nothing but it is equivalent to couple of info types, guys. So your data model is going to have couple of objects, and each object is going to have certain fields and their attributes. Is that clear, guys? Yep. Okay. Say, this is how you are going to add a new hire or a new employee in your SuccessFactors Employee Central module, guys. And you can see you have your effective dated entities. So far you haven't seen the effective dated objects or entities in your talent management system, but you are seeing here. So this is a little bit different. Let's say I am going to hire an employee today and they belong to the company. You can see these are the different companies that has been defined in our system. Let's say the company is ASUSA_Texas. And the reason you are hiring is, like say it is going to be like new hire. And let's say it is going to be Oops. Hey, I don't know like who is talking like, but I'm not able to hear you guys.
Sorry, can you hear me, Raghu?
Yes, now it is fine. Suman, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yes. No, the company what we are referring, is that the employee company, I mean, or the contractors company, or is it a kind of company code within the...
It's a company code within the employee center.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thanks.
Cool. So let me show you guys. You can see this is the best example, guys. You are capturing the employee's national ID, which is nothing but, let's say if you are talking about United States, your SSN is going to be the unique ID to represent a person, right? You can see here, whenever the moment you selected the country, you see the screen is automatically changing and you are able to see the social security number. And you can see the moment you select the social security number, the format has been changed. And let's say if I am going to select India, you see the screen is dynamically changing and you can see the PAN number is being populated and the format is also changed. So how this is changing? Depending on your country, things are being changed here, right? So this behavior you are going to configure in your country specific data models, guys. Yes, you are trying to capture the national ID. National ID is related to the employee, right? So ideally all the employee related information should go by your succession data model. And as we are talking about country specific things of the employee data, it should come with your country specific succession data model, guys. I'll show you by configuring a couple of those things, but theoretically that's how your data models has been derived, guys. That is the reason they segregated into the corporate succession and country specific corporate and country specific succession data models, guys. Okay. And once you load these four.
Raghu, I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Raghu, it creates a structure when you do a country specific data model?
Repeat that question, Nirmal. Hey, can you repeat that question, Nirmal?
No, the country specific succession data model is structured to capture the country specific requirements, like how specifically for US it has to be, the structure has to be defined, and how specific the India country's information has to be captured.
Exactly.
No, my question is, does it create a structure in Employee Central?
See, we are going to create the structure. It doesn't create the structure. You already created the structure, and that is the reason the screen is being displayed like this. As a SuccessFactors consultant, you created the structure. You created the country specific corporate data model, country specific section data model, and you are going to define this behavior. And what I am doing is like I am going to just entering the data. Behind the scenes, you are the SuccessFactors consultant. You will be doing the configuration. You will be defining the new fields or the required behavior in your data models, Nirmal.
Sorry, Raghu. Sorry, Raghu.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yes, why do we have the country specific data model? Because we are going to create the structure of our own for each country. So what does the country specific data model captures the information?
No. Nirmal. See, standard SuccessFactors provide the behavior for certain countries. And let's say you want to have one more field here, a custom field, where you are going to configure that is, say if your field is dependent on country, the field behavior is going to be changed depending on the country you are going to select. Then you should know that you should be aware as a SF consultant, you should be aware where you should create that particular field, in which data model.
Okay.
Raghu, in terms of
Raghu, what happens if the person is traveling, let's say, from India to the States?
Yep. No. That comes into your global assignment or your concurrent employment. I'll talk about those things at a later point of time motion. But
Okay.
that can be addressed with your global employment motion, just to answer your question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Raghu, in terms of Employee Central, what steps do we take in provisioning system? I just missed out,
No. You haven't missed anything. We didn't discuss that particular part yet, Shweta. We will be doing that going forward. But I am telling you, or I am just talking about the 14-step implementation sequence with respect to your Employee Central module, and to better understand.
Question.
Hey, one second, guys.
As a out of the box, like let's say standard SAP supports more than 100 countries or something like that. So these models, like how will they that? Hello?
Hello, Raghu.
Hey, are you able to hear me, guys?
No, I think in between there is a pause. I think we didn't hear you.
Okay, no worries. No, let me repeat
So my
that.
question is like,
Go ahead, Ray. Complete that.
the question is out of the box, meaning success factor standard functionality. Will it support the same number of country versions like standard SAP supports, or is there any like a less number of countries? Meaning, I don't want to change any data model. Let's say I want to hire some guy in China, so I want to use it as it is. So the data model will help you to configure, to enhance, or add some more fields, or do some other things. As a standard, like will it support all equal number of countries as SAP supports, or is there any less number there?
No, it is less. We don't have all the countries which we used to have in SAP HCM in success factors. But that's not a limitation. We can go ahead and add all the countries that we are interested, Ray.
Okay. It's like customization based on the configuration or the data model changes, so we pretty much we can manage everything.
Yes, Ray.
Thank you.
Okay.
So Raghu.
Yeah, Victor.
Yeah, like from what you showed, all right, the user interface you just showed us now, where the administrator can actually put probably the data in the fields, all right?
Yes.
Which means all the things were created as a result of your configuration at the back end using succession data model.
Yes.
All right, and that's fine.
Okay, cool. Just try to follow, guys. I mean to say it's too early to get into the details of these data models or to know completely about your Employee Central. We just started with the first day, right? Try to follow and see like as much as you can grasp. And if you have any questions, just hold on to them till the end of the session. And you can go ahead with your questions at the end of the session. I'll be here to answer all your questions. And I'll tell you like if something is relevant to be discussed in this session, I'll discuss those things. Or if I am going to cover any of your questions at a later point of time, I'll tell you, yes, this is going to cover at a later point of time. The same fashion motion asks, right? That comes at a later point of time, probably like your 6th or 7th session of your Employee Central module. That is where we'll see your global assignment and concurrent employment things, guys. Okay? So once you configure these things, your corporate data model, your section data model, and country-specific corporate data model, country-specific section data model, then you have to configure something called as your foundation objects, guys. As I told you, yes, the objects, any objects, guys. I'll tell you about the different types of objects in your Employee Central module, but these objects are nothing but they are the part of your data models. Which objects can be derived from which data model? I'll talk about those things in detail at a later point of time. But the 7th step with respect to your EC implementation sequence is the defining your foundation objects. And your foundation objects, let's say if you want to define a company code, So when you are defining a company code, what data that you are interested in capturing from the user. So that details, the fields, their properties is going to be defined in the objects. Yes, the foundation objects are nothing but defining your company code, defining your business unit, your location. Those things you are going to capture in the foundation objects. Yes, I got my requirements from a customer and he is asking me to configure the screen in this fashion while they are trying to capture a company or the legal entity. In SuccessFactors, your company is nothing but a legal entity, guys. Yes, so let me show you how I'm just going to demonstrate I'm slowly introducing you to the Employee Central system, guys. Don't mind if I am jumping here and there. One second. Yeah. And manage org, job and pay is the thing where you can find all. You can see your legal entity, your company. See, when you are trying to create you can see I selected the create new and I selected the legal entity, right? So I'm creating a legal entity, nothing but a company in my Employee Central module. But the moment I selected create legal entity, you see these fields has been displayed here. And just for your information, the legal entity is part of your foundation objects, guys. So you have to define, yes, when any customer is going to create a legal entity, what are the fields that I want to show on the screen? Or what are the fields which are mandatory to create a company in the Employee Central module? So those kind of details you are going to capture or you are going to configure in the foundation objects configuration, guys. This is what you are going to configure, create or configure foundation objects. So once you are done with the foundation objects, you have to define something called as propagation rules, guys. So your propagation rules are nothing but, say you have two different objects. Say you have job information of the employee, or let's say there is a location. And when you are trying to provide job information or when you are trying to hire an employee in that particular location, the number of hours for that particular location should be auto-populated on the employee record. So it avoids data entry operation in your Employee Central model, guys. Based on certain relationships between the different objects of your Employee Central module, you can populate certain objects data. And these auto-population of the data based on the relationships of different entities in your Employee Central module is going to be achieved using something called as the propagation rules, guys. And these propagation rules you are going to maintain in the propagation XML data model, guys, or propagation data model. Okay. And so once you have to configure all those propagation rules in the propagation data model, and after that you have to load or configure the event reason derivation rules. So when you are doing any action, you want to capture the reason behind, or you want to raise an event based on that action. You have to define all such kind of event reasons in the data model called as event reason derivation data model, guys. And once you define that, the next thing is going to be like define your workflow derivation rules. Basically, you are trying to configure the required workflows for your organization, guys. And then it is going to be like your role-based permission setup. Okay. Go ahead. Okay. Sorry, guys. So you have to define the role-based permission. The role-based permission is one of your security framework, guys. So the other framework is your administrative or the domain-based security framework, and the latest one is the role-based permissions RBP framework. I'll show you how to configure those things. And yes, in order to configure your role-based permissions, you have to map your employees to different roles, and you have to create something called as the permission groups, and that is where you are going to map your employees different roles to the groups, and these groups are going to be assigned to the permission entities or permission roles, and these roles are ones which is going to capture or going to hold the required permissions, guys. And the next step is going, the 12th step is going to be your importing employee data. Basically, you're migrating your employee data into your SuccessFactors Employee Central module from the legacy system, guys. And any system, you can migrate the data into your SuccessFactors Employee Central system using the CSV files, guys. Any entity, whether your employee data, the UDF file, or their position details, or the companies, anything, their personal details like address, dependent details, everything you can load using the CSV files. And in addition, yes, you have the integration tools available, but the simple and the least cost effective thing is the loading data using the CSV files, guys. And the next thing is going to be like, you have to set up something called as HRIS synchronization job, guys. This synchronization job is nothing but, you see, Employee Central is the module which came up lately, like around in 2013 is when the Employee Central module came into existence, guys. Before that, there is no such module called as Employee Central. So you, with respect to SuccessFactors, we only have the talent management modules. And when Employee Central module came into existence, how you are going to integrate the data? Yes, your data is going to reside in your Employee Central module. But how the data is going to be shared with all the different modules, which are the legacy modules of your SuccessFactors, is you have to synchronize this data to the corresponding modules, guys. So how you are going to synchronize is SuccessFactors provides excuse me, guys. SuccessFactors provide a standard job, and we have to schedule this job based on our frequency, based on the requirement. We have to define the frequency at what interval this job should run and synchronize the employee data from the centralized Employee Central repository to the all other modules. And then the last step is going to be like set up your leave of absence. This is related to your time, and it's not completely dependent on your time, but you can define or set up your leave of options. You can load all those details from your legacy system to your SuccessFactors system, guys. So these things are the mandatory things that you have to carry out during your Employee Central implementation, guys. Yes, there are a couple of other things which you might be doing the configuration and the different activities that you will be carrying out. But these things are the mandatory things that you have to do, guys. Any questions, guys, so far, whatever we have discussed?
Sorry, Raghu. These are 14 mandatory implementation. How many are in the provisioning system and the XML and instant?
See, yeah. Okay. Let me tell you about those things. See, your provisioning system account is nothing but this is going to be like login to your provisioning system, guys. And you're setting up your super administrator is nothing but you are creating a super admin user. Administrator user creation in the provisioning system. And the loading, basically you will load into the provisioning system, but where you are configuring that is going to be like on your desktop, guys. You will be working on the XML files on your desktop, and to load those things, yes, you will be loading in the provisioning system. And same thing with respect to your these things. All your section data model, country specific succession data model and your corporate data model, everything you are going to load into the provisioning system. And creating or configuring your foundation objects, again you have to work on the XML data model, and there is a tool called as business configuration UI, guys. This business configuration UI tool is going to be available in your instance. One second, guys. So you will be configuring the data model using the business configuration UI from the instance itself. So no need to work on your XML data model to configure the data models, guys. I'll show you both the flavors, how to work on your XML and how to work on using your BC UI. What are the limitations? All those things I'll discuss about that, guys. But you can see you have both the flavors. And your propagation rules, again your propagation rules is going to be like XML. You have to work on the desktop and load into provisioning system. And these event reason derivation rules, it is standard success factors provided event reasons, guys. We will not be able to enhance them. All the standard events are going to be like around 24 events provided by success factors, and the first thing is like we have to just load it into provisioning system, guys, and later the configuration of these things is going to come from your instance. And the same, you have to load the initial workflows in the XML file to provisioning system. After that, you can configure workflows from instance itself. And role-based permission, it's completely instance. Importing employee data, it's completely instance. And setting up your job, it's a one-time activity, your provisioning system, guys. Setting up your time off or leave off options, yes, it's instance. Is it clear, guys? Okay. So we'll start with the very first step, guys. You can see here the very first step, and then I'll show you like each one by one. I'll show you all those things, guys. So with respect to your provisioning system setup, usually you'll get your provisioning system credentials. Once you get your provisioning system credentials, you are going to log into the provisioning system. Let me show you that. You can see here, once you log into the success factors provisioning system, and this is your company or organization success factors provisioning homepage, guys. So once you are here, so where you are going to activate your employee central module and where you are going to create this super administrator is, click on the company settings. So once you click on the company settings, go your employee central module activation. Let me talk about that, guys. So you can see here, just search for the employee central keyword, guys. So what are the mandatory things that you have to activate with respect to your employee central system or the module activation in your provisioning system? Is, let me talk about all these things, guys, then I'll jump on to creating a super administrator. Okay. The first thing is going to be like, you can see, enable the attachment manager. This attachment manager is nothing but if you want to load any document or attach any document in your success factor system, yes, you should have already enabled the attachment manager in your provisioning system, guys. And make sure your employee central data, as I told you, you can see the historical data and you can run your audits on your employee data, and you have to activate this something called as employee profile data audit. Okay. And the next thing is going to be like, it's very, very mandatory, or without this your employee central module doesn't work, called as like employee central foundation objects. So using this employee central foundation objects, so the moment you activate it, let me show you what are the things that you are going to gain your instance. Guys, just let me know, guys, if I'm little bit fast, because I want to make sure that everyone will get a maximum out of this session, guys. sorry. Yep, sure motion. Okay. You see, these are the different entities that comes with your foundation objects, guys. Whether you can see here, your company, business unit, location, geographical zone, your location group, your location, division, department, job classification, job function, your pay group, pay scale, your pay calendar, dynamic roles, workflow, event reason, call center. You can see here, all these things are nothing but they are derived from your foundation objects, guys. So can you imagine a core HR system without your department, division, location, legal, company, and your business unit? No, right? Yes, as these things are coming up from your foundation objects. Yes, you can see these foundation objects. The enable employee central foundation objects is the mandatory switch or the feature that you have to activate in your employee central or in your provisioning system for the employee central module activation, guys. And your effective dated entities, you see here, effective dated entities are coming up just because if you want to use this feature, you have to activate that particular functionality in your provisioning system, guys. And all these things, whatever we are doing, it's a one-time activity. If you just set it up, yes, you can forget it about it, guys. You can forget about that. Usually, like at the time of implementation, when you are starting implementation, you are going to configure things in your provisioning system, guys. After that, you don't even come back to your provisioning system, guys. And your employee central, the latest employee central version is the V2, guys. So make sure you activate the employee central V2 version. And just a minute, let me mute everyone. And this is optional. You can see here you call rules engine. Whether if you want to use your rules engine, which is called as a business rules in your success factors employee central module, yes, you have to activate the rules engine in your backend at the provisioning system, guys. And after that, you see all the mandatory things we have covered. And there is one more thing called as generic objects. 1 second, guys. Yeah, this is one more important thing, guys. Your generic objects. Your generic objects is nothing but this is the platform which comes under the metadata framework, which will help you to create your own custom objects in employee central module, which will help you to create your own screens or the custom screens, and you can assign the workflows to your custom objects, custom screens or whatnot. We can do a lot of those things using the metadata framework, guys, which is a very important thing. And one of the constituent under your metadata framework is the generic objects. It's the heart of your metadata framework, guys. We'll talk about those things, but I'm just making sure that the important or the mandatory things that you have to activate for sure in your provisioning system, guys. So what happens, like if you don't activate it here, right, you don't see such kind of functionality. The relevant functionality is not going to be available in your instance, guys. And after that, you can see here your global assignment. And these are very important questions that might probably you will see in your certification, guys. They will ask you, say, where you are going to activate your global assignment functionality. And the question is like more like a true or false. One of the question is like they'll ask